Well, good morning, everyone. Hi, Emily.
Good
And
morning.
we have a guest today, Ross.
Yes.
How's everyone
Hello.
doing?
Good.
Good
Good.
here.
Um, well, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic today, and we brought Ross Petrick in from Alliance Communications. Ross, do you want to just give us a little background on who you are? And our topic today is Superboxes and VC boxes, and you've been doing a lot of, I guess I'd say, behind the scenes work on what's really going on with these boxes.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about myself and more about the company. That's way more interesting. So, um, I'm a CEO, general manager of Alliance Communications. Been in the industry over 20 years. Did some consulting at the early onset of my career, and both on the engineering side, regulatory consulting side. But I'm kind of a little bit of a tech nerd as well. So when you get to some of these super boxes and some of these things, also have a love-hate relationship when it comes to video, as you all know. I'm sure you're probably laughing about that in retrans, but we won't get into that. Alliance Communications offers services in South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa. We're a cooperative, but we also have a large amount of expansion areas in and around the Sioux Falls area as well. So.
Yeah, and I think, like you and I have talked, we've seen a huge rise in these super boxes. And, we've seen them before. You can buy them on Amazon, you can buy them at Walmart. People are selling them at like home shows and fairs. And there are these devices, Android set top boxes, really, that you can buy for $300. And then once you start using them, they direct you to programming that's illegal, that's pirated. So the boxes themselves really aren't illegal. And I mean, I guess, yeah, they're not illegal today, but what they have you do is illegal. I mean, would you say that's like the best summary of those devices?
Yeah, definitely. And some of the devices aren't being used at all for illegal, content. It's just like, what type of app are you really using that box for? Obviously, they're being sold. We literally look on the box that they're being sold for, and it says hundreds of free channels. So, how do
Right.
what they're not really fast channels, obviously, or free content. But yeah, when you dig deeper into what these boxes are doing, you get into the whole botnet and torrent type stuff. So it's definitely behind the scenes, a lot more to it than just free TV. So.
Right. And let's be real. We know if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And free content doesn't really exist as we go back to your comment about retransmission consent. But yeah, it's just so scary to think of. I, even being in the industry, didn't really realize how significant this problem was until we sat down together, the three of us at ICA, and to realize the security concerns of what they can do and how certain hackers could get into networks and really get to ISP networks. So I mean, it's a bigger problem that I think a lot of people don't understand and recognize because everybody's looking for a deal, right?
Right.
You get
Oh,
a deal.
yeah, it really should say, 500 channels for the low cost of all of your private information.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, right.
because it really is. That's one of the bad things about this is that, it's stealing a lot of your information on your local network.
Yeah.
So.
And I've heard people say, like, well, we warned our customers about that, and they said, that's fine. I don't have anything to steal anyway. They can see what I'm doing. But that's really not true, right? I mean, like they could really get it, like your credit card information, right? I mean, they could get a lot of things, when you put this on your network.
Yes, as an internet service provider, we're not able to see exactly what the content they're sending out. We can obviously, if it smells like pirated content, and it probably is. You can see these boxes are tapped out of taking all of the bandwidth from the home at all hours in the night. In fact, one box that we saw was up for 9 days straight. We can see that sort of stuff, but we can't see into the actual content. So what we did actually as a group in South Dakota here is got DSU, their cyber team involved, and they actually did an analysis on a few of these boxes to see how these boxes actually work and how they end up, stealing information from you, and then how they become actually a network in themselves of sharing illegal content, and then also sitting there ready to attack and be used as DDoS attacks as well. So having that analysis done by some outside experts in the cybersecurity field was critical, showing people like, okay, we as an ISP can't see what's going on behind the scenes, but they show you what this box is actually doing. And it was kind of frightening, some of these boxes were like cloning themselves and making themselves look like a Roku box, and they weren't, obviously.
Wow. I mean, that's super scary. I feel like that's something like could be a movie, like the next big blockbuster movie of a terror attack. And I mean, we're not being conspiracy theorists here. Like, this actually is a threat. And does the FCC know about this, or, is there anything that they can do? Because I know they banned foreign routers. I mean, are they aware of the threat, or the FBI? I mean, we remember, seeing those VHS tapes with the FBI warning. I mean, have they looked into any of this?
Yeah, the FBI put out a warning back in mid 2025 that kind of talked about these proxy network things. There's been a few other security experts out there. I think Krebs did a few different articles or things about this as well. There's been obviously the Bad Box 2.0 or Bad Box 2.0 was one. The Kim Wolf was another one. So the problem is when they do these warnings, it's just, they can't really talk about a specific device. They're really talking about the act itself. So it's really hard for the public to understand that.
Right.
Saying like, these types of cars are bad because the wheels come off, but it's a different car each time. So they can't say this exact vendor. And then not all the vendors are the same. The other analysis that DSU came up with is they say, hey, this box is fine, but the distributor that you bought it from actually can get into the box and manipulate it to put in their own malware before you even get it. So that kind of man in the middle, it's a different man in the middle attack. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you do when a customer says, oh, you're just mad that I cut the cable from you and you want my subscriber fees back? Like, do you have a response for customers like that? And then what about too, when someone says, oh yeah, I got this box, but I'm having trouble now with my internet, or it's not working. Your internet isn't supporting my box. Like, what do you do for customer support of these devices?
Yeah, that's the hard thing. I always say, nobody calls the electric company when their toaster doesn't work, but everybody calls the ISP when their device isn't working. And, and electric companies, I love them. They have their own, battles on different things, but we are, the internet's supposed to be connected and supposed to be working, whether it's the fault of us, which sometimes it is, or it's the fault of what your device is, which is not, something we support. But as a customer calls in, we'll do what we can to solve the problem, whether it is our problem or the device problem. But a lot of times this is, they sit there and say their internet is terrible. And we've even had some of our competitors proactively call and say, and we've done this too, is we see that, you have a large amount of traffic. Do you have this box in your network? They say yes. And they say, when you call in, you're going to have to turn that box off or get it off your network because we're not going to support it. That's not our message, but it has been the message. And I totally understand it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I actually was talking to an operator this week who said that they warned their customers that if we find that you have a VC box or a super box, we will turn off your internet. We won't give you internet if you're using this type of device. I don't know if they really can do that, but that's the stance they're taking because they just feel that, they're a dangerous device. And I think we need like the FCC to really take a stand on this and say these are illegal devices. And
For sure.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. So one word of caution, or one thing I would say is you might not know how many of these are in your network, but one thing that we did is took a look at our acceptable use policy, our network maintenance policy or management policy, and then our privacy policies, just to make sure that if we do get many of these all of a sudden activated, that we're able to protect our own network as well and turn these down, because you have to protect the network for everybody. And having these out there can be an issue. So that's one thing is for ISPs I would take a look at and make sure that you're able to do that. If the policy says that, then I suppose they can do that. But if the policy doesn't say that, then they might have some problems.
Yeah. And I guess, the other thing that really kind of burns me up about this is the content providers. Like, they need to be really stepping up in this fight against this too, because it's their content that's being stolen. And I had posted something on my LinkedIn the other week. I think about it like if you owned a store and every day a group of people came in and just stole things off your shelf. And then you just said, well, most people buy things and pay for it the right way, so I'm just not going to even worry about these people that come in every day and steal from me. I mean, that's what the content providers are doing. Well, most people pay for it, so we're just going to ignore those ones who steal it. But there was a study that showed, like in the Super Bowl, how many illegal streams were not counted in the ratings. And they said there were like 1.2 million people streaming the Super Bowl illegally. And it's like, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people pirating and stealing your content. And so I know that some of the programmers have very, big compliance departments and are looking at this, and they've described it kind of as a whack-a-mole, like you get one, but then 5 more pop up. But I guess I wish I saw more from the content providers about them trying to protect the signal and going after it.
Yeah, if you think about a supermarket, if half of your Reese's peanut butter cups were stolen every day, then the ones that are still there for people that actually buy them will probably be more expensive.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
And that's a no-win situation.
Yeah. So, do you see anything in the future on this? Like, I think our industry is doing something with this, right? And TCA, you're kind of on that.
Yeah. So it is kind of a whack-a-mole. The DOJ and the FBI, and there was a joint effort back in March where they did, and I think it was listed in a Wall Street Journal article as well, where they actually did kind of cut the knees off of some bad actors and drastically changed the usage or the use of these boxes for nefarious things. One of being botnet attacks and things of that sort. So there's been some action here, but I kind of equate it to the fact that they caught the robber, but they didn't change the locks or fix the broken window. Mm-hmm. The boxes are still out there. They still can be used by bad actors. There's using it for attacking other people or other entities. There's the use of the box by these to share the illegal content. Some of these people don't know that they're actually housing a movie that is pirated.
Right.
And then their internet's being used as kind of like, if you remember the Napster days, their internet's being used to upload that real time to somebody that wants to watch it. And then also just the stealing of information in your home. A lot of these are pivoting around in your home network, mirroring other things, stealing other information. And then the pirated information as well is just there's a trifecta or worse of things going on with these boxes, and all wrapped around a free TV or free content promise. So NTCA and I and SDN Communications went in and talked to the FCC about this. And the reason we did is they obviously knew about it, but we went after March and said, hey, appreciate the efforts that the government's doing on this, but we are still seeing some action or some are still seeing some things with these boxes in our network. And just to stay vigilant, understand that you haven't fixed everything, and keep an eye on it. And I think they heard us. I believe that they took it to heart. So we'll see what comes of it, I guess.
Awesome. Yeah. Awareness, step number one. And then, just continuing to advocate for the seriousness of this is huge.
Definitely.
So
I think all of us, we could go grassroots, and when someone who's like, hey, I got this box for free TV, like explain it to them. I had a family member who said, what do you know about these boxes? And I told them, and it's like, oh, I'm so glad I talked to you. I was gonna try one out. And I was like, I really think it's a bad idea. No, I'm not gonna do it now. But like, I think people need to understand really what the risks are, and if it's worth it to save $100. So
Yeah. And some people say, well, I only turn it on when I want to watch something, then I turn it off and pull out the network. And I said, okay, well, I only leave my garage door open at night, and I don't have it open. So it's like, I understand it, but you're still opening yourself up, maybe not for 24/7, but still for a portion of the day. Or some say they want to put it behind a VPN, and I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't, it's still, there's still risks and issues. And I think word's getting around. It's just, there's still people obviously using it, and, they can do that. That's fine, but they should know the risks.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Well, this was really good. I so appreciate you joining us, and I hope people can leave some comments and let us know what they're seeing and what they're doing. If you have changed your acceptable use policy to try and deter this, and what other operators are doing out there, feel free to comment.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah. I even snuck in a little bit about retrans in there, of course.
Maybe if retrans wasn't so high, people wouldn't feel like they need to steal.
That's a good way to end.
That's a perfect way to end.